This will totally be not in the way everywhere. Alright, so what's the first one I want to bring up? Really basic one. I mean, there's not really much to say about the 3-fighter, 3-ship list. I mean, it's going to be very basic, very bare bones, and it's just going to have a lot of things shooting, and that's all it does. Let's see. So this was the first one I wanted to bring up. This is a fleet that I've been working on. This is one of the personal ones that I've been trying to test a little bit. It is a fighter, a Borg ship, and a science vessels for support. The main point of this build right here is being able to shoot out of your rear arc at range 3. Basically taking all the time to fight on the run. So let me go over the list real quick. I've got first wave attack fighters. That's the Dominion one, right? That's not the Federation one?
Yeah.
Okay. Galler class phaser banks, disruptor wave cannons. Second ship, that's 40 points? No, that's 36 points.
35?
36. I had support ship on there, but I took it off later for other things. Ship number 2, a Borg octahedron with Stargazer Jean-Luc Picard. And I would love to talk about him more as soon as I get done with this list. Also, magnetometric guided charges. Then after that, we have the Romulan science vessel with Martok, fleet captain, independent federation, the one that grants an additional movement after you move. Mendak for an admiral, since he can go on the science vessel. Diplomacy costs 1 point since you're using a fleet captain. Cloaked mines and Quark with a second set of cloaked mines.
Okay.
All right, so things to take away from this. First thing I want to just really talk about is the fighters, Galler class phaser banks, and disruptor wave cannons. You can now shoot. Galler class phaser banks says you can shoot your primary weapon out to range 3, and disruptor wave cannon says you can shoot your main weapon out of your rear arc. I am assuming, this might be a big assumption, but I hope it's not, that the two of these combined let you shoot at range 3 out of your rear arc. Does that seem to make sense to you, David?
Yes. I don't know why you didn't, but my logic has failed me too many times with Worf. So I mean, you're paying 12 points for that combo. It seems to make sense.
Mm-hmm. And it's a really important one.
Unintended. It may be an unintended combo, but I mean, the cards were released together. I think somebody would have had to put those two together and go, wait a minute. Okay, fine.
But yeah, putting those two together gets you rear fire, range 3 every turn on ships as just durable as fighters are. You know, first wave fighters take 5 hits before they go down from 5 separate attacks.
Yeah.
Yes. What the next best you can do for 36 points is not much. I mean, no ship has a range 3 out the rear without using a disabling weapon. There's plenty of 360s, but all of those 360s only go to range 2.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything you can think of that I'm missing. But generally it requires like either some kind of
Terok Nor goes range 3, but that's only 4 dice.
And it doesn't move very fast. The point of this build is to keep running and try to keep range 3. So if you can't at least keep pace with the enemy ships, you might have a bit of a problem. Let's see. The second part. Oh, and I love this so much. The Borg octahedron. Magnetometric guided charges serves 2 purposes, of course. Number 1, it serves the purpose of letting the Borg use its 360 art out to range 3 again. I I feel like Borg are not going to make much of an appearance, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring one back. But Borg are still good at shooting out of the rear at range 3 if you give them a weapon. And I think magnetomegatric charges is a good enough weapon to do that with. The other option,
yeah.
The other thing, of course, being that it can only be purchased for a Borg ship.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing I like about the guided charges. We are seeing the return of Super Voyager. I mean, we'll get to that. But
6, 7, 8 defense dice plus bonuses.
Yeah. Guided charges don't care. They say, defense dice? What defense dice? I'm just shooting you. You're going to take it. So, yeah, I'm with you here. I like guided charges.
3 dice, doesn't require target lock, and it also still includes the battle station, 1 battle station to a crit conversion. So even if you don't have any quality on the dice from re-enabling the weapon every turn, you still have some quality on the dice. Especially when you're only rolling 3 of them, that single conversion is usually like all you need in probably 50% of all circumstances. I probably made that number up, but that's fine. The one thing that I do not like about it, though, is that they are pretty susceptible to evade tokens, since as far as I know, the evade token ruling still stands that you can evade token against things that don't allow defense dice.
Yeah, but let's be realistic here, Will. Most people don't evade as an action. Especially against especially when they have like a Super Voyager list. They're going, oh hey, I've got so many defense dice. What do I need evade for? Battle stations.
I will say though, the one thing that I have seen that evades a lot is a set of Federation fighters that are at range 3.
Yeah.
And that gets really annoying.
Oh, yeah. Fed fighters are just hard to kill, period. So,
thankfully, once they're down to like 2 tokens or so, they're not such a big threat anymore. But getting them down to that can take some work, surprisingly enough. That 1 extra shield does a lot.
Yes.
Pretty cut and dry. Wave cannons and phase banks should be able to use the other. Thank you, Stump. Stump's a cool guy. I believe he's down from my venue in St. Pete. He's a cool guy. Let's see. Last but not least is my favorite, the Action Economy Booster, Romulan Science Vessel, Martok, Fleet Captain, Independent Federation, Mendak, Diplomacy, Cloaked Mines, and more Cloaked Mines. I like 2 Cloaked Mines here because, well, I fear fighters. Right now I think one of the best sets of fighters in the game are going to actually be Hideki's with Galar-class phaser banks. So the range 3 fighters are really strong. Beyond that, though, I have considered equipping Quark with, instead of Cloaked Mines, with the Romulan Disruptor Beams, which just fit on him for 5 points on a Romulan vessel. That'll give you pretty much a one-shot attack. However, it is a one-shot attack of 6 dice. And that is kind of... It's kind of nifty if everything else has been crippled and or killed. Nice little trump card to be able to pull out at the end, instead of just continuously running away and hoping they die to your second mines.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still, if Quark was a sideboard card, meaning you could exchange what he brings from game to game.
Oh, that'd be so
then
cool.
Then I think having that as an interchange would be great. But I think that you're better off having double Cloaked Mines here, just because of the potential for 2 planets, and being able to just say, "Hey, I'm gunking up the board here, and you're going to take it."
Oh yeah, I like it. Let's see. Martok plus Fleet Captain plus Mendak is a skill 11. I love turning it up to 11. I'm not sure how many other people can actually get up to 11 regularly. and hopefully it's not many, but someone who gets up to more than 11 could be a problem for this build. However, if they're focusing that many points into getting captain skill, I'm thinking I have more firepower on the list. But being able to go with skill 11 allows I can do the fleet captain, which is after you move, and Martok, which is after you move, in any order I want.
Yeah. Which is really important.
Mm-hmm. And especially since, well, the only thing he's going to target is the octahedron, since he can't affect the attack fighters. But the sheer maneuverability you can get out of this is startling, especially when you remember Stargazer Picard. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, my battery went out on my thing. Oh well. I knew that was going to happen. I was hoping it was going to last longer, but all right. So my map camera is out, unfortunately, but we still have the list. So Fleet Captain allows you to do a 1 turn, a 1 bank, or a 1 straight. That can get you in a lot of directions, especially with a Borg vessel, followed by Martok granting Jean-Luc Picard his Picard action. For those who don't know, Picard's action is disable all your shields, perform another white or green maneuver. So we start with the Borg maneuverability, going forward but being able to spin in a direction. We get their ability to actually turn in case we need them to go a different direction, and then they can still do a 3 forward spin or a 4 straight forward. Jean-Luc Picard can go anywhere. Also interesting is having Martok give him a 1 turn, and then having Picard's action do a 2 reverse. I have surprised 1 or 2 opponents with that, and that was very amusing to me. Because it's almost like you're using the old Borg movement rules again.
Just about.
And the best part is, it's a bit of a drawback that he disables all your shields. Good news is, though, he still works if you have no shields to begin with. So once you've already taken a hit or 2, then using his ability basically costs you nothing, and it's Insha every turn if you want it. And I liked Insha.
Insha is good fun. Yeah, well, and you really shouldn't be using Picard unless you're going to be out of arc. Of
course, yeah. Because the main point of this build is to stay at range 3, make them chase you around the board, and keep taking pot shots at them, and hopefully whittle them down before you have to go in for the main engagement. Because, I mean, let's be honest, an octahedron and a set of fighters is about the highest firepower you can get short of a triple fighter list. It's not the most attack dice you can ever have, but it's a darn lot of attack dice and defense. So usually all it will need is just a little edge, and then after that, even if it's straight on engagement, you still have a darn good chance of doing a lot of, well, murder and assimilation. Okay,
yeah.
Not assimilation.
I mean, barring something like a Bioship Regent's flagship fighter list where you have 3 ships all with high dice, but then you don't have the support that you need. So,
I think the next thing you could get is like 2 fighters and 2 Keldon classes.
I like that build.
It's a fun one, but even that you don't have a lot of room on because that was actually another build I was considering. But before we go on to that one, last couple things. I've gone over on the show before how much I like diplomacy, especially for a single point. Chances are you cannot use it directly on fighters, but the secondary effect does not say ships. It just says you may not be attacked. So if you can nail one of their actual ships with it, you should not be able to get attacked by their fighters either.
Right. That makes all the sense in the world. Right. Let's talk about where things say ships, where they don't say ships. Second part of diplomacy, no use of the word ship. So I think you're good there, that nothing can attack you. Keeping Martok alive another round, always a good thing.
Yes. Martok is a very strong portion of the build. He is not the only necessary portion of the build, though. Even if you take out Martok, you are still facing down 2 ships with 6 attack dice and at least 8 attacks worth of damage that you have to chew through all of their tokens / hull and shields.
Yeah.
So I actually had this happen on one of my last games. He managed to get close enough with a Voyager going 6 straight, twice in a row through the planet, and he managed to actually bump me and make me lose Martok's action. Made me very sad, and the 4 dice attack from Voyager actually killed poor cloaked Martok. Stupid cloaking dice. If there's anything I could want to do to get more off of this, is I really would love a way to get 1 more attack die out of magnetometric guided charges. 4 attack dice with no defense seems just that much better than 3 attack dice without that, because it's not nearly as weak against evade tokens.
Yeah, I think maybe we'd take one of 2 things, either a 4th die or that they have to suffer the damage. They cannot use evade tokens.
Because X-Wing ruled that evade tokens count as trying to evade things, even if you don't get so you can't get them if you don't get defense dice. Star Trek has not hopped on that bandwagon yet, and in fact went against it. So I'm pretty sure that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Second one I had set up. This is another one that I posted on the Facebook group that I was kind of interested in. This is a fairly high skill level, basically as many attacks as you can get kind of list. I've got first wave attack fighters with break formation, fighter squadron 6 with break formation, the Coronac with captained by Catherine Janeway and Breenade. Whoever thought we would see Catherine Janeway on a ship? And the Traeger with Mr. Spock. No cloaked mines in this list because mainly the main use of cloaked mines is as a deterrent to fighters. Being able to take out at least 1, 2, maybe even 3 tokens off a fighter is one of the best uses of cloaked mines. However, with this one, you can get between the break formations and the Coronac's multi-fire ability, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks in the opening volley at or before skill 7. And that is pretty helpful. If your fighters are engaging their fighters at the same time and they're not using break formation will likely take out, almost certainly take out a Hideki, 50-50 shot to take out a Federation. After that, they get their full attack dice because if the fighters have lost a token, your fighters are definitely ahead of them in skill. Coronac even fires before that to help make that a reality because Janeway is an 8, if I'm recalling correctly. You take the scan token. You get 2 scan tokens off of it using Catherine Janeway. That lets you spend 1 to use the Coronac's ability to split fire, and you still have 1 to use the Breenade on both of your attacks, which is nice. So that's a guaranteed hit, almost a guaranteed hit against a Hideki fighter, and almost a guaranteed token kill against Federation as well. Because is it 3? Oh, is it still only 3 dice for the Coronac's split fire? Something. It's primary weapon -2, isn't it? Again, nice if you had the extra 1 point to do it. But 3 should be enough to deal with fighters, and that's the main thing you're going to want to use it on. Other than that, though, this also works fairly well against basically your cloaked ships, because 2 scan tokens, -2 defense dice, that's half of their cloak already gone, or not quite as good against Super Defense Voyager because they don't care about scan tokens. But cloaking ships, which I think could very well be a thing thanks to their added maneuverability and defense dice, Catherine Janeway should work fairly well against them, especially with a 180-degree arc and 5 attack dice.
Yep. A lot harder to get out of range of the 180s than it is the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And last but not least, just another ship to throw in there. I think I found the Traeger to be a very good offensive and defensive ship. I like it a little bit more than the Reklar, because Traeger, whenever you take damage, you can. Did we decide if that was once a turn or once an attack? Was it once a turn? I think it's once a turn now. But you can disable a shield to negate a hit or a crit.
Yeah, it's once per turn.
Gotcha.
Because it's during the compare results step, May.
Gotcha. But still,
while defending or
this is a ship with 4 attack dice, 4 defense dice. The ability doesn't cost an action, and with Mr. Spock, you can easily get a scan and a target lock, or target lock and an evade, which would make this thing last even longer. And I like that durability just a little bit more than the Reklar's Battle Station's ability. Of course, it's to each their own. And Mr. Spock, of course, being a 6, if you manage to take out just enough tokens off the fighters with your initial attacks, which you should easily be able to, he also gets to attack first. And then now, instead of facing, I don't know, a separate 2-ship, 2-fighter list, now you're fighting a 2-ship, 2 halved fighters list.
Which is far less scary.
Mm-hmm. Your war of attrition with your break formation should work pretty well.
Yeah. It can still do damage to you. It can still hurt. But yeah.
I feel like this is going to be one of... Sorry, what was that?
I said you'll put the hurt on too.
Oh, yeah. I feel like this is going to be one of the best... not the best, not the specific list, but something like this I feel is going to be one of the strongest 2-ship, 2-fighter lists. So, something you guys can plan for there. A little weak maybe against things that run away. Let's see, this one's using Officer Exchange Program, so I can get Janeway and Spock on ships for cheap. But you can, of course, modify that with maybe slightly smaller ships and fit in one of my favorite, the Independent Federation Fleet Captain. I don't think any other resources. I don't see a lot of variety in the resources for the 4 worlds. I think the biggest ones you're going to see are the Fleet Captains, especially the Federation Independent Fed, which gives an extra movement, and the crew. The one that gives 2 crew slots and reduces all crew costs, and Officer Exchange Program. I mean, is there any other one that's still legal that I think we're going to even be worried about, David?
I
don't even think about, because the fighter squadrons don't really count.
No, I mean, the resource Hideki is kind of nice because it has the built-in rear arc, but it's like 3 dice. And, okay, it's playable, but it's not like it's amazing. Master Strategist, maybe? But I don't see that being better than the Fleet Captains or Officer Exchange Program. I could see cloaking fleets taking it so they get battle stations and they don't have to pay for Admiral Mendoc. Sorry, I could see cloaking Klingons taking it. I can't really see Romulans taking it because they have Mendoc. Yeah.
And there just wasn't anything really interesting that came out of like the Borg OPs besides that, were there?
No.
Yeah, because you're not going to take the skilled helmsman or the...
Yeah, torpedoes, the shields, the advanced targeting system, none of those are worth it. The crew upgrades would have been worth it if it wasn't for the scan ruling all
I
of
did.
that.
Oh, that's right. There is the officer cards. Officer cards, I did have one or two that might be worth it, but that's if you just can't get enough value out of Officer Exchange Program or the Fleet Captain, really.
Yeah, I just
I was using that on one of the Sakharov sacrificing lists for the additional slots and the additional abilities.